Hello, my dear citizens and friends. My name is Joseph Taylor, Englishman by birth and proud adopted son of O'Fallon by pronouncement. I was born on February 8th, 1840 in Oldham, England. My parents were Samuel and Ellen Taylor and were of modest and hard-working stock. I received a basic public education and was off to work in the English mines at an early age. At 21, with adventure in my heart, I left my homeland and came to America. I first settled in Pennsylvania and found work mining. I toiled there for a few years when adventure again called my name and sent me out west, where I found Alma. Alma, an early settlement of O'Fallon named for a great British victory of the Crimean War, was populated by a large number of fellow Englishmen, so maybe that is why I felt so at home. I found work in the local coal mines, and there in the dirt and dust I began building my legacy. I worked and saved until I could buy my first general store and saloon from a Mr. Charles Gartside. Around then I even found the time to marry Mary Gartside, a local widow. She was 43 and I just 31. True, we were late to wed, but we were from the same town in England and we understood each other. And she understood the hard life of a miner husband. As the next few years passed, I was a very busy man. I purchased my first mine in 1871, then a few other mines, even naming one St. Ellen Mine from my dear mother. By 1905, I incorporated all of my enterprises into the Joseph Taylor Coal Company. Because of my hard work and success, I was also able to bring my parents over from England, open another general store, became an original First National Bank stockholder, and elected the first city treasurer. I'd done very well. In 2020's world, I was worth $11 million. But I wanted to give back something special, something magnificent, something the residents of my adopted hometown deserved. So I thought, Joseph, what does this town need? And it came to me, an opera house. So I set to work, and on December 28, 1908, the Taylor Opera House held its grand opening. This building was the finest thing O'Fallon had ever seen and could rival any of the other modern-day theaters. It was able to seat 900, which was half of O'Fallon's population at the time, in opera-approved seats. It had perfect acoustics, ornate tin ceilings, an advanced rigging loft, fly gallery, trapdoors, massive stage curtain, modern movable scenery, both white and colored electric lights, an orchestra pit, a balcony, and a large space in the basement for dressing rooms. The entire building cost $30,000, which would be about $865,000 today. The first production was Why Girls Go Wrong, a strictly moral play as it was billed. So many exciting programs were held here over the years, plays with lavish costumes from Paris, music by the best composers, lectures about the new Panama Canal, wild stories from Cole Younger, a member of the Jesse James Gang, music from a chief trumpeter of Theodore Roosevelt's Rough Riders. Even a real lion was used in a production. It eventually had a saloon right here in front. Never mind the slight inconvenience of not having enough signatures on the liquor license petition. It didn't seem to mind the city council as they approved the permit anyway. Sadly, my excitement for my great accomplishment was short-lived. Mary passed to life eternal just 4 short days later on New Year's Eve, 1909. We shared 37 wonderful years together. So now, alone at 68, I started my next adventure. Well, politics, of course. So that spring I ran for mayor and won. Coincidentally, I just also happened to have the perfect location for the victory celebration. As a thank you to the city residents for electing me to be their next mayor, I bought out the entire theater for the evening's performance and invited the entire town. Before the curtain rose that evening, I was called to the stage, handed a bouquet of flowers while the audience warmly shouted, "Yay for Uncle Joe!" and speech. I looked across the packed house. It was filled with my family, dearest friends, my business associates, my hard-working employees. This was my hometown, and they were all my family. My promise as mayor was humble and heartfelt. My policies as mayor of your city shall be based upon the wants and needs of the city. I have been told politics are not quite that simple anymore. After a couple months of being mayor and still being a very spry, eligible bachelor, I tried my hand at love again. My first attempt was with an old acquaintance, Miss Bieber. We ran into each other on Washington Avenue in downtown St. Louis. I gave her fair warning. I am a widower, so you better watch out. We were engaged that same afternoon. Thank goodness my dear departed wife had good sense while writing her will. The probate laws at the time of the engagement was indefinitely postponed. Miss Bieber, who was not happy, immediately sued me for breach of promise and wanted $25,000, about $700,000 today. The story played out in the local newspapers, and the suit was quickly settled out of court. It was a hard time for Uncle Joe, so during this whole fiasco, I took a trip to Chicago. Well, wouldn't you know, I ran into another acquaintance, old Susan Boynton Almer Dietrich. We quickly reconnected. She was waiting for her divorce to be granted. Her husband of 10 years left her, and after 3 years, she filed for divorce on grounds of desertion. The judge would only grant the divorce if she promised not to remarry for 1 full year. Susan was 54 and I was 70. We were not getting any younger, so we thought we'd pull a fast one on the St. Clair County judge. On June 1st, 1910, we got married in St. Louis County Courthouse. We fibbed in our marriage license, too, saying we were residents of Chicago and both a little younger. But by George, the St. Clair County judge found us out. Because Susan violated the Illinois divorce law, she was found guilty and fined $25. That's $663 in today's money. Again, my love life made all the local papers. I was mayor for just 1 term when the political climate in O'Fallon changed. I was replaced in the spring election of 1911 by Dan Thomas, a young socialist coal miner who strongly supported the miners' labor union, which wanted job security, fair wages, and safe work conditions. O'Fallon had grown its own little socialist movement and was able to elect not only a socialist mayor, but also 2 councilmen. Mr. Thomas was one of 5 socialist mayors elected that year, as I recall. Times were certainly changing. However, this certainly did not stop the booking of some anti-socialist programs here at the theater. At one evening event at the Opera House, a large red socialist flag was dropped from the flag gallery and a heated political exchange started between the speaker and his citizens. These walls have seen some things. A few years later, in October of 1918, this old opera house had to shut down for about 4 weeks. The Board of Health closed churches, schools, bowling alleys, and pool halls. There were to be no social gatherings, including lodge and other meetings. Children were to stay at home and not to congregate in the streets, as the local paper warned. Saloons remained open, but the tables and chairs were heaped in the corners to keep crowds down. Why, you ask? The 1918 influenza pandemic was sweeping the globe. O'Fallon fared well in the early months of the flu with low numbers and mild cases. The first local casualty was a 35-year-old man from Shiloh, poor chap, father. He left a wife and even 7 children who were all also sick. But it was a scary time, especially for a 78-year-old man like myself. But O'Fallon made through that dark time, and it will again. Susan and I eventually went our separate ways as my money dwindled down over the years. By 1923, she had made it out to California. She would write asking for money, complaining about my lack of money, and divorce. She was eventually lost to history. As Taylor family lore goes, she just wanted one thing and left me in a pauper's grave. As for myself, I stayed in O'Fallon with my extended family until on a Monday afternoon in February of 1925, at the age of 86, after a long illness, I quietly passed away at my nephew's home. My remains laid in repose at the Opera House until the funeral services. The mayor even proclaimed that all city business was to be suspended during my funeral. I loved O'Fallon, and O'Fallon loved me. As I was once quoted and still hold to be true, I believe that the city of O'Fallon has a great future lying before it, and I'm just humbled to have been a part of it.